Zohran Mamdani's under fire. Another Shia king unjustifiably being attacked by those who love the nation state of Israel. I covered it yesterday briefly, but obviously, like the more he talks about his social media, his wife's social media, all this the more they attack him. Okay? And it's not going to stop. And this is the latest round of missile salvos being launched at him and his wife.
Before she took that job, and do you think that
Mayor Mamdani says his wife, Rama Dawaji, was not aware of the anti-Israel post, like calling some Israeli citizens parasites, from an author she illustrated an essay for. Mamdani calls that rhetoric reprehensible and said his wife booked the gig through a third party.
That job, and do you think that type of rhetoric is acceptable about?
Like, we're no longer just talking about Zohran Mamdani being potentially anti-Semitic. We've now moved on to Zohran Mamdani's wife potentially being anti-Semitic, which is also it's not the case. But we've also moved even past that. Now it's Zohran Mamdani's wife was commissioned artwork for another person who also isn't anti-Semitic, by the way. The person that they're talking about, I know. She spoke at the Oxford Union. Okay? The person that they're attacking now at this stage is like 3 steps removed.
I think it's,
People are booing the questioner.
I think that rhetoric is patently unacceptable. I think it's reprehensible. And as is common for freelance illustrators, the First Lady was commissioned to illustrate an excerpt of...
He doesn't need to respond to this. Like, he just doesn't. He doesn't need to respond to this. I've been saying this since the globalize the intifada situation. Okay? Just say, I'm not an anti-Semite. My record speaks for itself. My wife is not an anti-Semite. I love my wife. Please stop asking me about this stuff while I'm trying to run one of the most important cities on the planet as the world is on fire all around us. The anti-Semitic post she liked, by the way. Oh, yeah, this is Susan Abul Hawa, sorry. Again, throwing his wife under the bus for tweets that 99.9% of people who aren't Jewish supremacist rapists would agree with. What a clown. The IDF are genocidal, parasitic, blood-sucking predators, says this person. Burning Patagonia, poisoning Lebanon and Syria, uprooting millions of trees, exterminating nearly all of Gaza's livestock, and raising nearly all their farmland. There's like the reprehensible aspect of it is rootless parasite. Okay, it's an anti-Semitic canard that she's leaning into when she says rootless. That's the key word here. Okay, that's the reason. It's also ridiculous because she's literally talking about the IDF. Okay, burning Patagonia is sus. Yeah, that was that was a bunch of Israeli tourists that caused massive forest fires in Argentina. Brother, you literally said he should respond yesterday and that he can't keep ignoring this. No, I said he should respond forcefully by literally saying enough. I did not say that he should concede and be like, wow, it's really up that my wife worked with a person that was, criticizing the idea of criticizing Israel. Because, like, dude, I receive this every day. I receive this every day, okay? Every damn day of the week. Our upcoming issue scheduled to be released at the end of February. Susan Abul Hawa, excerpt from her recent book, A Trail of Soap. Okay, illustrated by Rama Dawaji, Zohran's wife. Jewish supremacist vampires can buy up all the airwaves. They can manipulate the algorithms. They can get us canceled from our jobs, but the world will not unsee their evil. You lying Jewish supremacist cockroach. Britain literally gave away someone else's country to a group of wealthy Jewish supremacists in exchange for them pushing the United States into World War I. The Balfour Declaration was issued as a quid pro quo to bring America into a war they want no part of. And then the last one is the burning Patagonia the take. Like, when will this end? Like, not only is, if you're not tapped in to pro-Palestinian circles, maybe you're not familiar with who Susan Abul Hawa is, okay? And that's fine. But just like, at the end of the day, it's just, yeah, she said a bunch of shit. Wherever they are, they will drag the respective cultures in the war and financial ruin for their own benefit. They have singular loyalty to Jewish supremacy. The ADL and various tentacles of packaged. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's, That is definitely okay. It's okay. This stuff is anti-Semitic. Okay, but regardless, okay, regardless, Susan is Palestinian. Okay, Susan is Palestinian. This is literally third-party associations at this point. Okay, it's third-party associations. Like, what the are you doing? You don't have to answer this. Once again, my wife is not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. We need to stop playing these games. Okay? That's it. That's it. And it's not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop because the idea, like the other example I use is Graham Plattner, right? The other example I use is Graham Plattner. Graham Plattner goes on someone else's podcast. Okay? The guy who broke the story is obsessed with me too. Yeah, I know. John Levine has been obsessed with me since the Young Turks. Graham Plattner goes on a podcast of a guy that has said like JFK was assassinated potentially by Israel. They get mad at Graham Plattner because the guy whose podcast he went on another anti-Semitic person's podcast. What level of association do we have at this point? Like, what is this? Oh, you sneezed in the direction of a guy who actually slapped the ass of another guy who is anti-Semitic. Okay, well, I guess, what should we do? Throw a party? Like, what are we doing here? What the are we doing? It's ridiculous, okay? It's completely ridiculous. Stop conceding on this. Like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? This is the most ridiculous version of cancel culture that I have ever seen. Okay? We're no longer placing emphasis on what people say. We're no longer placing emphasis on what people do. Okay? We're no longer placing an emphasis on like what individuals think. We're now looking at their close partners associations with other people that at a certain time might have said something that comes across as anti-Semitic. That's ridiculous. Okay? That's ridiculous. And this game will not end. It's the shit that I deal with on a daily fucking basis. You have to straight up refuse to play ball with this. Okay? You have to. Yeah, Felix had a funny approach. Throwing his wife under the bus is a good start, but I'm not satisfied until he condemns Hinge for allowing them to match, the people that attended their wedding, the officiant, and the city for certifying their marriage. Also, any future children they may have, just to be safe. In the last decade, we've seen countless right-wing freaks weather controversies 1,000 times greater than this by simply doing nothing. How has absolutely no one on the left noticed this? Please, I do it every day, okay? These are not attacks in good faith. Stop responding to attacks in bad faith. And if you're going to respond to attacks in bad faith, then just say, this is a bad faith attack. My actions speak for themselves. Enough. I sent Felix a tweet a while back, initially. That was one of the funniest tweets I had seen. This was the first round of missile salvos that Zohran was receiving when they first came out. And they were like, your wife liked some tweets. There was a guy who had added New York City mayor, demanded they divorce. Okay? There was a guy hysterically crying, being like, how can I feel safe as a Jew in New York City when the mayor's wife has liked Instagram posts on October 7 at New York City mayor? It's like, how could the New York City mayor be married to someone like this? It's like, what do you want him to do? Divorce his wife? Like, what are you, insane? Like the entitlement, the sheer arrogance. That's fake. Come on. No, it's a real tweet, dude. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. Zohran is not getting good advice or he's winging it. No, I know what's going on. He doesn't want to constantly have to deal with this. So he thinks that if he says, oh, my wife is, I apologize for my wife. I apologize for my wife working with a third party a business that did illustrations for a person that may have said something that could be perceived as anti-Semitic. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, just say, I'm not an anti-Semite. Everyone knows this. My wife is not an anti-Semite. Everybody knows this. enough is enough. You guys can't defend the state of Israel, so you have to keep constantly trying to manufacture outrage and drama over like perceived anti-Semitism. And now we moved on to 6 degrees. What's next? Tomorrow, are you going to say there was a guy who was being anti-Semitic in my vicinity and I didn't kill him with my bare hands? Stop negotiating with terrorists.
A book by a third party. She's never engaged with or met with the author, nor had she seen the tweets that you're referring to. And we stand in our administration, and I can tell you our administration, which is separate from the First Lady, as she doesn't have a role within it, against bigotry of all forms. And we do so
He needs to respond at least once. No, his response should not be to concede. Okay? It's that simple. I learned this the hard way. I know I compare a lot of my own personal experiences being a outspoken socialist, anti-Zionist on the internet, and I have a ton of haters as a consequence of that. But the biggest wave of haters that I got was initially because since 2021, I thought initially that you have to respond to these controversies and you have to correct the record because people have a right to know. People have a right to understand. And maybe in the process of correcting the record, I can also, educate people on the matter. Okay? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. The more you respond, the more you legitimize these oppositional attacks. These attacks are manufactured outrage. The thing that irks me is that we have actual proud anti-Semites and everyone's chasing these suspected anti-Semites because this is, of course, I don't hate the Jewish faith. Are you insane? Yeah, he's a politician, bro. He can't get away with saying the same stuff you can. Donald Trump is a politician. What are you talking about? All of a sudden, Zohran has bad strategy. Homie, he got elected with a strategy that all the left are now using. Let him do his thing. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but his strategy when he was actually getting elected was a lot more aggressive on this stuff. And he unnecessarily started conceding when he was already about to seize it. He was already winning. Primary Zohran was like, I'm not going to Israel. Mayor Zohran would have probably been like, oh, I would love to go to Tel Aviv, actually. I heard there's great beaches there. Like, what are we doing?
Flinchingly, because every single New Yorker deserves a place that they can call home without having to be wary of being their full self when they do so.
Like, do you understand when he says, like, oh, every single New Yorker deserves to have a home? You're giving legitimacy to the criticisms, like your wife doing this illustration for a Palestinian woman's book is somehow endangering the lives of everyday New Yorkers. Do you not understand my anger and frustration with this response? Because this is a concession, okay? This is a concession to one of the most insane lines of attack thus far, and it's going to get worse. People ask me these lines. People ask me questions like this all the time. I have to deal with this shit all the time, too. You are not the mayor. Why do you suggest you know better /S? Okay, stop. This also looks weak. This is going to make him look weak. Okay. If I had to play defense for Zohran here, he's doing his best to have a normal response to these unhinged hit jobs in such a way that he knows will only further infuriate the unhinged critics, which in turn will cause them to create their own ostracization. No, it's just annoying people on his side. I promise you. It annoys the people that are on his side. I feel for him. I feel bad. You know,